Welcome to the We Are Self-Made podcast. This show is not your traditional show on entrepreneurship with critic quotes about failing fast and often, but an honest look at the good, bad, and ugly. It's an experiment documenting the journeys of 7 entrepreneurs over time, me included. I give weekly updates, even though I can't make it weekly. I'm really bad at holding this commitment. Yet, at least you is holding his commitment. He is coming on the show now the fourth time, giving us his fourth update. I'm really happy. Happy New Year, man. How are you doing?
Happy New Year, Danny. Thank you for having me on. I am awesome. I am in a very good headspace right now, and I'm very glad to be speaking to you again.
Thanks for taking the time again. And I'm excited to hear about your progress. On a scale from 1 to 10, you just said you're happy or amazing, 10 the highest. Where would you rate yourself right now?
In terms of happiness, 10, man. I'm in a very good place right now, and I've stepped into a relationship for the first time in 2 years, and very connected as well to this person. So it's been a big step for me because that's been a big fear of mine for a long time. I've been single for a very long time, which has been good. It's given me space to work on myself, but I had a lot of self-limiting beliefs, especially in terms of finances, because I'd been struggling previously with making money. I felt like I didn't deserve somehow to be in a relationship. You know how these stories overlap, and you end up telling yourself these things about yourself, and especially this girl who's a lot more financially stable. It's been good for me to be able to.
How does it make you feel? Did you have like similar thoughts around? And sorry for interrupting, but it's interesting. Did you have thoughts around? Damn it, I want to buy her dinner, but I can't because I'm not making money, and that's why I don't want to be in a relationship. And if you had those thoughts, how do you deal with them right now?
Partly, yeah. I mean, there was that literally. There was a point where that came up, and she said, "Do you want to go for dinner?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I don't have any money." And she said, "That's totally cool. I'm going to take you out." She actually took us to this really kind of expensive French restaurant as well, and she was like, "Look, just have whatever you want. It's fine." And didn't feel guilty about it. And then the following week I had some money, so I could take her out and treat her as well. And I think it's good because previously I had been in relationships where I paid for everything, and it made me feel a bit kind of unloved and unappreciated. So I think it's good to have that balance where you do treat each other. Not that a relationship is just about buying each other things, but there is some aspect of that. Like, sure. It is nice to be able to take your partner out for meals and treat them to things as well.
Yeah. And as we usually do, just for the audience, we go through your monthly wins. What's going well, any wins as big or little, it doesn't matter. What tasks were not completed, and what have you learned last month over Christmas? And as you know, we are doing this together with our friends. And John, for example, has quite some success in his business, raising his hourly rate. Felipe is doing well. I mean, he's doing always really well, right? He's making his income. We both, on the other hand, struggle on making money. I haven't been making any money for the last 5 to 6 months, with 1 month in between where I did some sales freelancing. What about you? Where are you? And how much savings do you have left to sustain the lifestyle you have right now? How much is it maybe even freaking you out? Did anything change around your strategy on your goal to sustain your life as a digital nomad, as we talked about it in one of our first podcasts?
Yeah, so I mean, over the last few interviews we've done, I know I've been kind of up and down with what I've wanted to do, and to be honest, I was kind of lacking clarity, which I realized because it came from who I was trying to work with. So I'm going back to running a course, which is what I did before, and it got good results with clients. But I've changed it up a bit. So whereas before I ran a 12-week nutrition course to teach people flexibility in nutrition and teach them better habits, I'm kind of stepping that up a bit, and I've added another 4 weeks into that, which is all about mindset. It's all about behavior, psychology, and mindfulness, and using techniques to really take control of your life. So I've applied that to that's going to be the first 4 weeks. I've added some other stuff into the course as well. But the main thing for me is who I actually want to work with. And it was funny because it was right in front of me, but I didn't see it. I had 3 people that I was working with who were all digital nomads, who were all entrepreneurs, self-made, and I loved working with them. But I didn't even see that as an option for people to work with. So I've been trying to work with typical 9-to-5ers. I've been kind of chasing in my head. I've been chasing the money. I've been thinking, right, who has money? And I'm thinking of people in the corporate world, and that's who I've been trying to advertise to. But then what I realized was that's not who I want to work with. And I think that's why I was struggling to really get myself going in terms of picking up clients, but also just in terms of motivation. I just wasn't really driven to work with those people. So I've reframed who I'm working with now, who my marketing is towards. And it's funny, actually, as soon as I did this, I wrote an article. It wasn't even an article. It was just a Facebook post, which I put into a couple of entrepreneurial groups. And a guy reached out to me who is an editor of a magazine who writes for aspiring entrepreneurs. And he just said, look, I loved your article. I'd like to publish it on our magazine. So that was published last week. Nice. And that for me was just like a reinforcing belief that I am doing the right thing and I'm on the right track and doing making that change, I think, is good. One thing with me is I feel like, especially last year, I tried to sprint ahead with everything I was doing, and I was too focused on that big picture rather than the small stepping stones to get me there, which is a bit hypocritical because this is what I teach my guys in terms of health. So, taking a page from my own book, I'm now making that approach, and I've got a big goal, but my goal is quite far away. So it's like now I've broken it down into small bite-sized chunks. It's not too overwhelming, and I realized that it's okay. Like, it's slow and steady, and it's just building those steps along the way. Whereas I feel like a part of it is because I've been surrounded by people that have been very much all or nothing, and they're like, go all in, 10x your results, all these things, which are total bullshit. Because when you actually look at how they built their businesses, it's taken them years to get to where they got to. So I've taken I'm trying to spend a lot less time on social media, taking myself away from some of these groups and unfollowed some of these people that I used to follow, and taken advice from the right people. So I've found myself, better support networks of people that have, the same philosophies as me. And I'm now using that to propel me forward in a way that's more sustainable and allows me more balance and flexibility. Because going back to last year as well, although I was traveling, although I was surrounded by amazing people, like yourself, I didn't switch off very well. Like, even on days where I'd say, right, I'm having a day off, we'd go out, we'd do something, I'd come home and I'd still be checking messages, I'd still be trying to do content for an hour or two. And I realized the impact that was having on me mentally and physically. It was draining me. So now, especially with like seeing this girl, I make sure that I switch off at the weekends. I'll have 2 days where I don't check my messages. I don't, go and post content. That's my time. And the impact that's had has been huge. It's allowed me to completely refresh. So when I come back to my work, I'm a lot more clear and focused in what I want to do. And again, this is just stuff that I was teaching before, but not doing myself. So it was hypocritical that I wasn't doing it. Yeah. But now I am, staying with that, being more present in my time off, being more present in my work.
I do have 2 follow-up questions. Do you feel like, especially as we are so young and we try to teach and do stuff without even following through with ourselves, do you think there are a lot of scumbags on the internet and trying to teach something? And maybe you are one of them, right? You just said so, like, this is so hypercritical. And at some point it will show off that you follow your own advice. But if it doesn't show off, right? Like, do you see this more often, that people are rushed and sprinting and don't put in the required work to learn a skill and then eventually master it?
Definitely. And by no means am I in that boat in terms of what I teach, because I've been learning nutrition, which is my primary kind of coaching point, for 8 years now. Like, I'm not someone that's just read a book on nutrition, called themselves a nutritionist, and then gone off and tried to give people advice when I've not applied it myself. So everything that I teach my clients is stuff that I have applied into my life and done. And, it's things that have worked for me. that are backed by science and that are proven to work. So I'm not just like repeating some information. I'm coaching people and allowing them to go through the same processes that I've been through with my coaches. Because I've invested tens of thousands of pounds over the last few years into coaching and mentorship. I've done a lot of work, internally on myself, and learned a lot from that. So it's things that I've done that have taken me from a place of being depressed to driven. It's taken me from being really anxious and scared of everything to being confident, to doing public speaking, to, taking those steps in my business, to traveling, all these things. So I have done, the results are there. I've taken myself from being that skinny kid with poor posture and back pain and crippling IBS to being strong, to having, good posture, to having good digestion. I've made those physical changes to myself. I've made those mental, emotional, spiritual changes to myself. So I don't think that is the case in myself. And I just find that sometimes there are little things that I might find that I've slipped up on. So it's not that I'm preaching something that I've never done before. It's just that I've found that I'll be speaking to someone about something and they'll be mirroring that I haven't taken action on that myself recently. Like I may have let something slip, and I'll realize and I'll write it down when I'm speaking to them.
And I'm in a similar headspace. Sometimes it's and I know you, and I want to acknowledge you for your public speaking. You do a lot of Facebook videos, and it's really inspiring messages. Sometimes it's really personal too. At one message, I even gave you feedback, and you want to learn. You digest a lot. You soak everything in, and that's their drive, right? And I definitely want to acknowledge you for it. And what you just said rang a bell too, because sometimes I give advice to someone who's like, Danny, this is what advice you should be following yourself, right? And there's so much advice to be given and to be received, and we need to be carefully selecting, does it fit us right now? Because life has periods, right? Or seasons, and if someone gives you a driven, pushy advice, or to do something driven, pushy in a period where you might slow down and decelerate and digest and reflect, this advice doesn't fit, right? But in a season, maybe playoff games or in the finals, then it might better fit. So, and that's the stuff I struggle with, right? You hear advice, should I be doing this? Oh, and it just comes down to social media, traffic, and whatsoever, right? It's always like, should I be doing this? Should I? So this is the difficult part.
Yeah, definitely. And in terms of what you were saying earlier about scumbags on the internet and getting sucked into things, one thing that I've realized that a lot of people do, in the marketing space, is that they're going to try and make strategies sound a lot harder than they are. So they'll give you a snippet of something and they'll make something sound overly complicated. So they're like, shit, I need to learn about that. But what I've realized is the things that have got me the best results and the best traffic from, in terms of people following me, and what I have been consistent with is simplicity. So rather than trying to find these complex things, these blueprints for all these, grandeur plans, just find something simple. So for me, it's just making sure that I put out, maybe it's putting out a video every day. Maybe it's putting out an email, if you're, a big on email marketing, writing an email every day. When you look at people that are successful in business, a lot of people in my network anyway, some of them, again, they give advice that doesn't really mirror what they're actually doing. So people that, there's somebody that I follow who's a very good email marketer. He doesn't put out videos. He doesn't really put out much in the way of blogs. He's just known for being good at email marketing. But when you look at his products and some of the stuff that he advertises, he talks about all these other things you should be doing this, you should be doing that, where it's not stuff that he does. And then you look at other people that are big on video and they talk about blogging or they talk about email marketing. So I feel like there's a lot of people that understand strategies but don't apply them themselves. Or have just read up on something. So I don't know if they're necessarily scumbags. I believe they probably are good at what they do, and maybe they do have some good information. But I don't think that a lot of people practice what they preach. Yeah. And that is why I've changed my approach, because, as we said before this call, I've never been a guy that's worked a 9 to 5. I've been advertising to these people that, you know, in my mind, I was like, right, who has money? I want to work with these corporate workers. I've never been in the corporate world. I've never had a 9 to 5 job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've always been kind of, apart from part-time jobs previously, I've always been self-employed and self-driven. So I can relate to that. I've been, you know, in that digital nomad space. I've been in that entrepreneurial space for a few years now and been, you know, managing my own time. That's what I can relate to. Whereas if I'm trying to talk to someone that maybe's got kids and is working a 9 to 5, I can't relate to them. And I think that we get lost along the way sometimes, and we try and work with too many people because we just see an opportunity in front of us and try and take it. But I think sometimes you need to see past that and see the bigger picture. And I feel like that's something that has come clear to me recently.
Yeah. And I agree. I think what I would like to add for myself, not giving any feedback to you or anything, is I think you can serve those people if you really want, if you are really into them. Then you need to read the books they are reading. You need to read the blogs they're reading. You need to better understand them than they understand themselves, right? So all this work is then required to tap into their life to then come up with, in your case, for example, exercising plans that fit into their busy schedule of being a father of 2 and a husband and someone in a company somewhere, right? So those different roles and maybe even the son. So you need to take care of your parents maybe as well. So all those buckets need to be then taken care of. Let's jump ahead. Give us a sneak peek. I'm now intrigued a little. So you said your target group is entrepreneurs, self-made people and digital nomads. What are you offering? You said you are coming from a nutritional background. This is your core. Then you extended it with mindset. What's your strategy for 2017? What are maybe 1 or 2 bigger goals you are now going after?
So yeah, obviously this course is going to be the main thing rather than having like loads of different things I'm focusing on. The course is the main thing. So it's a 16-week group coaching course. So there will be points in that where they do get one-to-one calls as well. So they have that support if they need it. But the main aspect is that it's a course that they follow with group coaching calls. So, you know, they'll still get feedback, they'll still get one-to-one time, and they'll still have like that personalization of it. But I just feel like that's a very good format, and it has worked for me previously in like the membership site I've been running.
Yeah.
I just didn't like the model of the membership site, because with a membership site, there's not a set outcome. I'm just constantly putting out content each month, and I feel like that isn't given as much value as like having a set 16-week course, which I know previously works.
So what's the price and what's the promise behind the course and group coaching course?
So the price at the moment is 1,000 Australian dollars, and so I think that's probably about $600-700 US. And it is basically, it's the outcome is to transform your mind and body, so you're focused, you know you're self-aware, and then you've also built the habits in terms of mindfulness and nutrition, so that you can get long-term results as well. So you will have very good results in terms of those 16 weeks in terms of transforming your body. But it's everything that I've always done in terms of coaching is to set people up for long-term success. So I want people to carry on getting results after they've worked with me. I feel like a lot of 12-week transformation programs get good results, but people leave them and they fall back into old habits. They don't really dig deep and work out those inner blocks that are stopping people from getting long-term results. And I feel like that's something that I'm very good at. And the feedback that I get from clients, even clients that I spoke to that I haven't worked with for a year, I've spoken to recently, have told me that they're still doing really well because they've built those foundations and they've tackled some of those barriers that were holding them back.
Oh, that's interesting to hear. Really, oh, I'm proud of you. Wow, this is really cool. This is some change there in the world. What is your goal? Do you have a goal behind it? Are you driven by goals that you say, I want to be making X amount by then, I want to have this many students? Any goals you are like targeting? Yeah,
so my goal is to have 20 people signed up in the first 13 weeks. So I use a self journal, which is it's set in 13-week blocks, and one of the things it has you do in the start of it is break down your 13-week goal. This is something that I use as well, actually. So one of the things is talking about your reward for achieving your goal. So my rewards for the 13 weeks, having achieved that, is to take a week off and go to Tasmania, not work for a week and have a full week's holiday, which is something that I have not done literally since leaving university and becoming self-employed. So, I've not done that in nearly 3 years. Literally just having a week off where I don't do any work and just completely focus on relaxing. So that's something I want to do. Obviously, if I hit that target of 20 people, then financially I'm going to be secure anyway, so that won't be an issue. And it will just give me a good starting point because I will have had 20 students go through the course, get amazing results. So that's 20 more testimonials towards building this out as well. And obviously results speak. So I've already had some people that have gone through my coaching, and I've got some great testimonials from the few guys that I have worked with so far in terms of this space and this course. But now I just want to grow that out and so really going to push that forward as well.
So what's there? Is the content, is everything there so that you can focus on delivering it and getting people into the door?
Yeah, so basically the nutritional content is there. In terms of the mindfulness and the 4-week mindset shift, that hasn't been formatted quite solidly yet. So there's still some videos to add into that. And there's still a couple of things to do on that, but it's all laid out. It's all things that I have taught previously, but in calls as opposed to is in videos.
Okay. What needs to happen in order to get 20 people, 20 sign up?
So I've been working on creating marketing funnels for this. The first thing was getting really specific with my audience, which I've done. So I've gone through interest targeting through Facebook ads. My first kind of start in that funnel is getting them involved in some content, getting them to, one, it's going to give them some really good tools to use. So I'm adding value up front. They're then going to get retargeted with some more content, which will lead into a 7-day challenge, which is a really good strategy. Supposedly, this isn't something I've run previously, so it's new to me, but something that I've been given to by a mentor, which is a good structure to build trust and get them on a call. When I get people on a call, that is where I then give them an offer, providing they're fit for it, into the program as well. Like I don't believe in selling people into something that I don't think is going to work for them. Yeah. But providing they have gone through the content already, been through the course and applied for a call, then they should be very fit for the course. Otherwise, they wouldn't have gone through the content.
Oh, that sounds good. You said you had already a few students. Do you have new signups already, or are you starting at 0 right now?
So I'm working on a one-to-one basis with a few people at the moment. So previous clients, but in terms of this course as it's structured now, then it's not been released yet. It is going to be released in a couple of weeks' time. So, and if I do have any interest in the next few weeks, there'll be pre-sales for the course, and what I'll do is offer people one-to-one coaching with myself if I do get any sign-ups in the next couple of weeks. So they won't have to wait a couple of weeks to get any benefits. They'll still be, I'll still coach them and stuff and just give them that free on top of the course so they get some added value.
Yeah. Now comes the punchline. I know that you have been doing this last year already, and we spoke on this podcast and privately about those sales funnel. You learned your stuff. You just spoke about simplicity. So I'm trying to connect a few dots here. Then you said you're going to be reading, you're reading a lot of books, yes, but writing your own book about habits, which is then the mindset part, the 4-week mindset part you spoke about, which is part of your program. My question is, what kind of accountability you build for yourself that this time you follow through with the strategy versus in 13 weeks you're like, oh, Danny, I changed my strategy again. I'm doing this. I discovered I don't want to be an entrepreneur anymore. I now be in UK doing this, and it feels so much better. How do you build in this accountability that you stick to something? And I know we all are in this learning journey, right? And I'm just trying
Mm.
to understand what kind of built-in measures you have for yourself and learning how you go through your journey, because I already can connect those dots. And so my first question is, are you aware of them? And secondly, what is your accountability to now, let's say, hey, this is a strategy, that's what I want to learn. If this works, great, then I go to 50 signups. If this works, what's the next step? If 20 signups doesn't work, what's the next step? Do you
Yeah.
yeah.
So last year, one of the issues that I had was that I felt like I was being pulled in multiple directions and being told what to do by different people. Looking back, the advice that some of the people were giving me, or sorry, the people that were telling me this advice hadn't really shown results themselves. But I think at the time I felt like I was desperate, so I was just aimlessly kind of going for things without any confidence. So I did a very big kind of review of last year, and I kind of realized that I was kind of just constantly chasing that next thing, the shiny object, and getting distracted by things. So I wasn't as focused as I'd like to be, and that's kind of my primary goal now. In terms of strategy, I'm running this strategy with multiple other people in my network, so we're keeping each other accountable. Very different services, so it's not, we're not kind of like competing with each other or anything. So we're keeping each other accountable, and I've just taken myself away from all the bullshit that was distracting me before. So basically, I've just given myself one option, and I've made it out in my head. I've not said, right, I'll try this for a couple of weeks and see what happens. I've said, right, this is going to be my next strategy for the next 6 months.
Okay, awesome. This is something I can hold you accountable to.
Yeah.
Do you think beyond this?
I used to, and I do kind of have some some kind of dream goals, like long term. But to be honest, I don't think they're relevant, because I know for a fact that I'm going to be thinking differently in 6 months' time, and I'll probably want different things. I am stepping up my game in public speaking. So I'm joining Toastmasters, a public speaking group, getting more involved with that. So it's not like another strategy or anything. It is just to complement what I'm doing. And it's something that for me is just like a personal challenge. So yeah, that's something I'm stepping up. Long term, I know that I want to scale it. I know that I want to do events and retreats and things like that. But again, that's not really something to focus on until I've had a lot of people through the course.
Yeah. What about, I have two follow-up questions. One is related to the product. What about having in-person coaching, like for example, where you are right now?
Yep.
And the second question is related to your location. What are you planning of doing when it comes to slowly traveling? I remember last you were in Melbourne. Are you still in
Yeah.
Melbourne?
Yeah, so I'm going to be in Melbourne for a long time, and
Okay.
so I am marketing here, and if I did have people that were going to the course who were living locally, then I would definitely arrange meetups and stuff like that for them as well, so we could do some in-person coaching. That's one thing I realized, and why I want to step into public speaking a bit as well. I enjoy working with people face to face. Like, I do enjoy the work I do online. I love it. But there are times where I'm like, I do kind of miss that interaction with people. So I think being able to run some events would be awesome as well, providing that I do already have some clients. But also I want to start, I have been actually networking with some people nearby, getting involved with those. So I've joined kind of entrepreneurial groups and stuff on Facebook and getting involved with people, so I can go do some meetups and maybe have some talks and stuff that are pre-arranged. So it doesn't take too much planning on my regard. I just turn up and talk about something, and whether any clients come from that or not, it's just gonna be a good experience and good kind of growth for myself.
Nice. So you're gonna see yourself in Melbourne for the next 6 months?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I'm going to be doing some short trips, as I say, like hopefully in 13. Well, it'll be 11 weeks time now. My goal, if I hit my
Tassie.
goal, then I'm going to go to Tasmania, do little weekend trips and stuff like that. But yeah, this is going to be my base
Yeah.
for the next 6 months, definitely.
The reason why I ask is because I realized I want to go back to Berlin and focus on a base.
Yeah,
Otherwise, I'm too unstable, not only financially but also emotionally, and
yeah,
I can't live up to my full potential being on the road. As much as it was nice for a year now or 1.5 years now, I feel for me the next step is grounding myself in one place, and I can do this in Berlin much easier than anywhere else. Considering visa, my network there, I can start freelancing and consulting again, and then still work on Startup Guys. I will never give up this podcast. It's just way too much fun talking to you and all those other guys, and it's opening many doors. Yet the space is important for me. How important is it for you looking into the next 6 months? And was this part of your decision and reflection of 2016?
definitely, yeah. So the way I look at it, 2016 was just very much about personal development for me. It challenged me massively in terms of selling all my stuff and moving to Asia. It also challenged me because I revisited a lot of painful memories and did a lot of internal work
Yeah.
and emotional work on that to move through that. So I felt like 2016 was definitely a year where I was kind of like getting through some of those previous issues, whereas 2017 for me is about definitely, as you said, being grounded, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally. And then from that grounded position, focusing on moving forward as opposed to like revisiting the past.
Awesome. So the last question, in 6 weeks from now on, we're going to speak again, and I'm excited to see, um, where do you want to be? I hopefully you have already a few pre-sales, I guess. You
Yeah.
want what else needs to be done in order to get to the 20 signups?
So in terms of that, what like once this funnel has been created, which it's nearly done now, it's a very simple funnel. It's just a case of changing and rotating the front end of it. So basically, pushing that content out there until it's been used up and seen by people, and then replacing it with something else. So that front end, that front advert is going to get replaced every couple of weeks. And then from there, the funnel is the same. So they go through the 7-day series into a call. It's just the front end that's changed. If that starts performing really well, or I've got to a point where everything else is sorted, then I can step into adding another layer in there as well, like a webinar or something like that, something very high value content, which will just amplify those results as well, and it'll just really qualify people before they're on the call with me. But yeah, I have everything planned out now. I'm not kind of like trying to work out what's next. I'm literally just slowly but surely just working my way through what I have to do. And from there,
Have you broken them down into, let's say, this is the 20 signups you want to have?
yeah,
Assuming 1 out of 4 calls will lead to a sign up, so I need to have 80 calls. For 80
yeah,
calls to happen, maybe 1 out of 4 challenges need to happen, right? So it's like
yeah,
100, it's 240 challenges, and in order to get 240 challenges, I need to have, like, I don't know, again 4 times, assuming 25% for each step, which is huge, right? Conversion
yeah.
rate. Are you breaking this down, and then it's, let's say, in 6 weeks from now on, you should already be at a point where you had already, let's say, 5 calls, maybe 1 sign up, and your pipeline filled up?
So yes and no. So the back end of it, I know roughly that I'll be able to sell 1 in 2 people that come on the call. They should be really qualified by the time they come through that funnel anyway, so it will be a lot easier to sell than I had done previously with people, where I literally would sell from cold traffic into a call. So they didn't really know who I was or what I did, what I specialized in, or the results I got with people. I could still sell 1 in 4 people on that. Generally a show-up rate of about 50%. So yeah, as you said, like kind of 80 people would get me 20 clients. But that shouldn't be the case, because with the funnel that I'm running, they're already massively pre-qualified. So I'd say, realistically, hopefully that should be selling, 2 out of 3 people. But also with that, there's going to be an incentive for them to come on the call. So I'm going to give them a preview of something that they'll receive on the call that's going to benefit them. So even if they don't sign up, they're still going to access this thing on the call. So that should hopefully increase show-up rates. Reversing back from that, I don't know, because it's very hard for me right now to give any figures on the challenge or the ads, because I haven't run them yet. So the first ad goes live today, and the 7-day series will go live later this week. So until I've run it for a few weeks and I had maybe 100 people go through it, I can't really give any statistics on that, because I don't know how it's going to perform. There might be things that I need to tweak. It might perform really well from the off. But right now I can't give any, tweaks on that. The other thing I am doing is I put time aside each day to post in groups and speak to people. So I think that's really important as well. Just literally just messaging people, speaking to people, seeing what their struggles are. I have a lot of content and a lot of free content that I give away to people. So, a good strategy is literally just speaking to them, seeing what their struggle is, and then either helping them through that with content, or maybe I just speak to them around that and then trying to get them onto a call from there. So that's another kind of tactic that I have been doing previously that's worked well for me to get calls.
Oh, that sounds good. This sounds good to me. I'm excited to see the results of your funnel. What kind of steps you were able to really measure out, and then where you struggle. And I'm happy to talk about this even before, fill me in if I can help, just run through the numbers, some ideas. But I know you have your people, you have similar setups there, so I assume you guys exchange knowledge and insights.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on the show once again. We have one more check-in coming up, so that's then already 5 episodes over 6 months progress. Would you be willing to continue this, or do you want to stop after the 5th and last check-in?
No, I'm happy to carry on doing it. It's already gone very quickly. But yes, 100%.
Yes.
Always up for doing this.
Yeah, I think it would be nice for us to catch up every once in a while. And I think as we get to know each other more, we openly share our struggles and vulnerabilities. And I hope through this, we can really convey the struggling journey of becoming a successful entrepreneur. And over time, we see how our mindset changes. We can look back, hey, do you remember 2016 was all about personal development, big picture dreaming, but it didn't get me anywhere. 2017 was about simplicity, grounding myself. Then I was able to get not 20, but let's say 10, 15. That's already 10, 15,000 per month. And then I was able to scale this in 2018. And now in 2020, I'm at this big coaching company and I'm talking on conferences. Bam, bam, big picture goal achieved, right? And maybe at some point we might not talk every 6 weeks, but maybe every 3 months. Let's see. But I'm open to continue this because the scheduling works better. We don't waste so much time chit-chatting before and afterwards. So I think it's a time investment on both sides, which is kind of okay, I think, for catching up and building this friendship as well.
Yeah, 100%, man. As I say, I'm happy moving forward. However often you want to do them, it's a great excuse to catch up, and I enjoy doing them. So, and I have not recently, but I did previously listen back to some of the episodes that I did to see the progress that I've made and stuff as well, and not just the progress, but kind of seeing just the change in mindset as well, which has been the biggest thing.
Yeah, awesome. Love you for your commitment. Thanks for being on the show again. Can't wait to see hear all the updates in the coming weeks. And good luck, man. Have a good, crazy 2017.
Thank you very much, and all the best. I look forward to speaking to you again in a few weeks' time, and hopefully sharing some successes with you.
I hope so too. Goodbye, my friend. Bye-bye.
Take care, man.
StartupGeist Podcast. Entrepreneurs are not born. We are self-made. Please leave an honest rating on iTunes or leave a comment on startupgeist.com/podcast. Thank you for listening.